Hi friends, David here from Learn Stage Lighting and Above AVL. And in this video, we're going to take a look at Onyx on a console. We got an NX1 here, we got an NX4 here, and compare it to Onyx on a PC. Let's dive in. One of the interesting things about Onyx is people that come to Onyx or who have a Onyx background kind of come at it from one of two different angles most of the time, okay? The first is the people that maybe use the free version of MPC before it, and are used to kind of a PC-based software. On the other hand, there are people who have always used Onyx or M Series on a physical console, and they're used to that perspective. And there's some very real differences in how you work on one or the other, and some very real advantages really to being on a console. Of course, with those advantages, it, does cost more, but I would argue if you have a certain size of lighting rig, if you have thousands of dollars of lighting instruments at your disposal, sometimes it makes sense to upgrade to something that's not just on a PC, because if you do a lot of programming, it's going to save you a lot of time. So let's dive in. Okay, so Onyx on a console. Obviously, most of the tutorials we do are on the PC, and we'll go over there in a minute. But when you're on a console, there's a few things that are a little bit different. Okay, first and foremost, whether you're on a NX1 like I am here with the NXK keypad, which I love, or if you're on a console like the NX4, over here, you've got a full programming keypad, and that's going to save you a lot of time. Being able to come in here and go, hey, fixture 101 through 106 at full, enter, record, update queue, etc. If you're on a console like this and you're used to the PC, some of the first habits that I absolutely want you to break, because they're going to slow you down and make you less efficient, is one, pulling up the keypad, okay, here. Even pulling up the on-screen keyboard. Like, I don't have a keyboard attached right now, but seriously, get a USB keyboard and plug it in. There are cheap wireless ones if you want, just with a little USB receiver. Not Bluetooth ones, because this doesn't have Bluetooth, but just a little cheap, wireless one, like a 2.4 gigahertz, or whatever. Super easy, or a cheap corded one. There's even compact ones. So much help to not have to pull up the keyboard. It's going to save you a lot of time. And same with the command keyboard. The command keypad, all of these keys are built into the console, right? On an NX4, on an NX2, or on an NX1 are built in with an NXK, right? And so that's something that is going to save you a lot of time, a lot of frustration. And honestly, pulling this keypad up on the screen or using this key to get to it is really slow and is going to make you a less effective programmer overall. Number two difference between consoles and the PCs, and this is a big one, is encoder wheels, right? This is one area where the NX1 with the NXK really shines, because you get not 4, but 8 encoder wheels, right? So on a PC, you select a fixture, and you've got to pull up the channel visualization, as it's officially called. And you've got to toggle through these different options, and, it can be fine. It totally can be fine. But this is much quicker in terms of programming. So don't, on an NX1, do this with your finger on the screen. There's no need for that, right? It's on your encoder. And then your side encoders, which I believe we have a video on here, or else we do inside of Learn Stage Lighting Labs. Okay, your side encoders can be set to all sorts of different things, and they don't change. And in the NX1, they're here, right? On an NX2 or NX4, they're on the side of your screen. Those things that exist there that you never touch, you should put something on them. I think we have a video on this channel on it. If we do, we'll link to it here. If we don't, go to Learn Stage Lighting Labs, grab the free trial. You can get every video on every feature in Onyx and a tutorial on how to do it, plus feedback from our experts in the forum. Okay, so huge help. So it's on the side here of your NX2 or NX4. And again, by default, it's on the NXK encoders, on the side here. All right, so the encoders, especially with parameters like pan tilt, Having an encoder that's not just up and down, but that's back and forth is just such a huge help. It's quicker, it's easier, it's more ergonomic in terms of being able to control your lights. Okay. Now, another difference between consoles and PCs. As I mentioned, on a PC, you'll constantly be pulling this thing up and down, up and down, up and down, right? Up and down to get to parameters, then to get back to your screen, up and down, and up and down. And you might notice that one thing that you don't necessarily get on the encoder wheels is the ability to change between your different parameter groups. I know it's hard to see there, but we'll blow up a version on the screen. Your intensity, pan tilt, color, gobo, beam, beam effects, and framing if you have fixtures that have those selected. Okay. How do you get between your parameter groups on a console, on an NX1 or an NX4? This is my top tip for that. Number one is on an NX1, you have these multifunction keys. By default, they're set up as playbacks. You can kick it over to bass and effects. And now you've got intensity, pan tilt, color, gobo, beam, beam effects, framing, or whatever order they're in. On the NX4, you don't have dedicated hard keys for those. However, as I walk through in our function keys for NX4 video, check it out. If we run out of YouTube cards, they'll all be linked below. You have these keys on the side right here, these function keys right next to your programming section, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, that I would go and set to intensity, pan tilt, color, gobo, and beam. Or instead of beam, you could do framing if you use framing more often. Again, that's a little application specific. Now, pro tip on the NX1 and part of why it rocks is rather than using the base keys, and we'll go into more detail in another video on this or inside Learn Stage Lighting Labs, setting it to your F keys I like better because then you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that I can set to base, intensity, pan tilt, color, gobo, and then either beam or framing, whichever one you use more. And then on this side, I like to define effects, effects timing, fanning, grouping, rate. I believe all of those are assignable as F keys. And so I like to have it actually matching what it looks like on the pop-up on the screen. So it's exact, okay? Other things that are different from PC to console version, okay? On the PC, you may find that you often pull up the fader view, which I don't have on a console here. So let me hop over to the PC real quick. And so you pull up this fader view a lot, right? And then you have your 10 faders. Sure, if you have a touch screen like I do here, you can literally, press on them or use the mouse, bring them up and down, etc. Right? That takes up like half your screen real estate and it's not as good as real faders. And then you've got 11 through 20 as buttons. You can technically flip them, but again, it's nice, but it's not as nice as faders on a physical console. Back to a physical console or an NXP, you've got your 10 by 10 playbacks if you've got them in playback mode here, right? Or on the NXP, I believe they're always playbacks, but JP will correct me on the screen if I'm wrong. And you can go between them. You can flip them using this key on the screen, the soft key, or you can set that to a hard function key here on the right as well. So those are going to be some of the biggest main differences between a PC and a console. Some of the other ones are the fact that consoles tend to, over the long haul, they tend to be easier to keep stable. What do I mean by that? It's obviously no secret. A lot of people have a pretty good idea that these consoles do technically run a version of Windows. Okay. However, it's a version of Windows that has all the extra stuff stripped out, right? And so because of that, it tends to, because Onyx is the only thing running on this and it's tailored just to Onyx, they tend to run very, very, very reliably over the long haul without any help from anybody. On a PC, you've got to manage it. You got to keep other apps off it, often keep it off the internet or keep it updated, etc. Sometimes updates can come and have issues with Onyx. You'll never have that happen on a console, but you will have it happen on a PC. In general, though, Onyx versus a PC or console, we obviously recommend both here. Like, there are some definite advantages to having a full programming section, built-in screen, all that stuff. Huge advantages there. Okay. Disadvantages wise, of course, the NX1 can be a hair limited. If you want more than 2 dial zones, if you want more than 8 universes of output, you got to move up to a bigger console. But the long-term stability and the fact that it's pretty much hands-off in terms of management is also a really big deal. So, which is it for you? Let us know below, PC or console. And did you learn something new today about using a console? The biggest thing and my biggest goal for this video is that you walk away, and if you're someone who's a console user, you go, hey, you know what? I was doing stuff like pulling up this CV. I was doing stuff like pulling up this command keypad, which I should not do because, and not using the encoder wheels because it's all right here, right? It's all on the desk. It's all ready to go. And it's going to save me time and make me less frustrated and a way better, faster, more efficient programmer if I use the stuff built into the console. That's my goal here, is to enlighten you on that. Or if this is your first time comparing the two and you say, you know what, myself, my venue, my band, my church, etc., it would bring us great value to upgrade to a console, then Above AVL, that's us, is your place to get it. Add stuff to your cart, request a quote from us, or just go ahead and buy it. Either way totally works, and we love to help. And we try to keep as much of the consoles in stock, ready to go out the door, boom, right when you order. If that sounds good, then head over to aboveavl.com. If you need to go to our contact page, we'll link to that below too. If you have questions about what hardware is best for your needs, we're going to answer, we're going to help you, and hope you have a wonderful day. Until next time, be sure to subscribe here, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.